Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Dodgeball podcast. I'm here with the still remaining big three of Europe. Let's see if this changes after this tournament and we're gonna get a new name like the old three or something like that. We're gonna talk about it, what we predict for this year's in Limerick. And so I'm here with Adam and Brad. Adam had a bit
We're
of an
back.
issue, no power, and I think his electricity went out as well. So it was a bit of a
Yeah,
struggling
it
day
did.
for him.
A little hungry, as I haven't been able to cook anything. I was able to boil some water for a cup of tea, and that's about it, really.
Back to the Stone Age. Make a fire.
Yeah.
All right, but so you had a big tournament last Sunday. Maybe we'll start off right there. So, Brad, tell me how Adam got to win the British champs back to back. So, what is it? Twice is coincidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Twice
Like
is
you,
twice is a
I think
coincidence. Yeah.
I
Three's a
think when
pattern.
they've done it three in a row like we have, it's a pattern. Yeah, for sure. But no, yeah, it was a perfectly timed peaking. It was tournament dodgeball at its finest, actually. I would say from Adam's boys because they sort of drew their first game in the group, then they lost to us, and then they went through on set difference, and then they just came stronger and stronger. Whereas I think we probably peaked in the groups and got weaker as the tournament went on. So a great example of what not to do from the Meteors, but super work from your boys, Adam.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. And yeah, thankfully the Spartans were able to do what we could not and put you guys out. Yeah, kind of left us with them in the final. It's probably who I would have chosen to play against, just kind of style wise. I would have felt more confident going into, and our record is uh, not great against Meteors, although that makes it sound like we always get smashed. We always lose by one single set, but it's like 5-1 in their favor on the single sets, so it's starting to tick up.
So,
Yeah.
is that the sort of the British triangle? You beat Spartans, Spartans beat Meteor, and at least
Not
for the
really.
last
We like
3 years.
yeah, we had that's our first win over Spartans. Actually,
Really?
we have a history of drawing with them.
Okay.
The Spartans and Meteors have kind of been the top two, and while we were kind of developing, we weren't as strong. We'd finished like third and fourth a couple of years ago and things like that. And it wasn't until last year that we made the final and won our first final. So we're unbeaten in finals. Just got to sort those group games and the occasional semi-final out.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so Brad, is that the reason why you chose seven meteors for the national squad? Because they're the only ones who can beat Adam?
It's a weird one actually. I actually have no say in the squad, but it's strange actually because Spartans are such a good unit, but they're like I don't know. It's like it reminds me a bit of football. There was that year. It's like Man City and Liverpool, and a lot of Liverpool players were making Team of the Year. Like you would take Mo Salah, you would take Virgil Van Dijk, you would take Allison, but like the Man City team were just so good as a unit. Like, and I feel like maybe it's something similar to that where you probably. I said this in my team talk before we played Spartans to my lads. I was like, all six of them are basically the same player. They're all equally good, equally like. There's no moment, when you play. I don't know. When you were playing Tamas, you get Tamas out. You're like, come on, like we've got a chance here. It doesn't happen against Spartans. It's like copy and paste for six players, and that makes it hard to grind teams down.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a
Everyone
good
got that
point.
catch.
Like
Yeah.
there's no like momentum building hit,
No,
the one that you'd like everybody wants.
yeah,
That can come into it definitely. I felt that before.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So, and like I watched the final with Adam, and I think for the first three sets, you got around 10 seconds of playing time there.
Yeah, that was good
Yeah.
from Spartans. It was good.
Yeah.
Good. Like I liked it. They put a lot of pressure on me and targeted me, but they still went 4-2 down.
Yeah, exactly. That was, they
For
were
doing it.
forgetting
So
Smurf,
yeah,
Yeah.
like the
and he
rest
was
of the
just
guys
hitting
really.
everyone out. It
Yeah,
was
and
just
then they
amazing.
yeah, then they switched it up. Obviously, I think 4-2 down, so they were trying to make changes and learn as they went. But I think that kind of just let me grow into the game as well. And then I think I played pretty well in the second half.
Yeah.
Um, I just being kind of brave. We had the back to the wall. There was the net that would kind of slow the balls down, but people were worried that would just go back. But I don't know, if you're not going to post throw or pre-throw at all, then you're just letting them use the wall. So I was just trying to like be brave and make the right decisions.
You guys, you have that like consistency where it's almost irrelevant what the score is. You just continue to plug away, like keep going. And
Yeah,
when we had a bit of a debrief at the end of the day, I said like, I think at times today we were 10 out of 10, and at times we were 4 out of 10, and Bally were probably 8 all day and just continued it.
but yeah. We lost the first set to like every single team, so we were 0 out of 10 in the first set, and then good from that point on.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really interesting how some team dynamics work really different. And I think it's got a lot to do with the squad. Like, as you said, Spartans really one unit, not a lot of in between, like quality wise, meteors, lots of, at least from the outside, I haven't played against lot of those guys, but lots of like specialists, it seems like, who can all throw really well. Some of them can catch really well, some of them are really fast. So it seems like if you get one figure out, it's more like chess where you have different pieces to get out. And with Spartans, it's just all runners. I have no idea. And you basically, as you said, you have to fight them down till the last one. And
yeah,
and I think for the Bally Hack team, it was a team with a few really really good players, and then maybe one or two who fell off a little bit, and then two who were sort of in between. But it still felt like it was one unit still. So it really felt like that
Yeah,
Northern Irish mentality was in that team, where like even though you hit out their best player, maybe it didn't do anything to the team, and that was
yeah.
quite
That's
impressive to see.
they just so like they accepted, I guess, that myself, my brother, and Murph probably had the most experience, knew what we were coming up against, and they just kind of absorbed what we were telling them and being like, look, we've got to do a job here. Like for instance, we had Luke Wallace playing at 6 on the wing, and maybe we could have played Johnny there as like a bigger name, I guess. But we're like, look, if you can deal some damage here, like particularly against Storm, if like Steve was probably going to back himself against you, he doesn't really know who you are. But I think we went even in that, and you take that all day if Luke can put out their strongest thrower, Steve, reasonably consistently on trades. And it's just like making good decisions for the benefit of the team, taking people out, not having an ego and things like that. So they just kind of listened tactically really well, and it was perfect. So yeah, whereas maybe I don't know, sometimes everybody wants to contribute. Like I don't think I give Luke. I think Luke in the final, I called him to throw maybe 2 singles. His
Yeah,
job was to just hold off Scotty,
yeah.
punish him if he goes. Like you can make that decision by yourself, but I don't really want to expose you by making you single and things like that. So yeah, they just did really well and stepped up. And we only had 6 players, and
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd do it going in, but somehow we did.
we
And yeah,
we had 3 apparently.
yeah.
Three that could held out till the ceremony apparently. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah, there were some people that didn't attend that were in the DMs. Like, wow, like we're 3, seriously. It's like, yeah, incredible. It's no, I wish. I found, I don't know, this is like an age-old dodgeball thing, but I find like switching the pace can be so difficult when you're like you come out 2-0, 4-0, 6-0 up, and you kind of want to just like, I mean, you can't keep that pace up for 40 minutes, but you kind of want to slow it down, but not lose your momentum. And I find it so hard to switch that pace without like just sitting back and waiting for it, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, that's always something I tell my players. So I wanted you to play a little bit safer, but with the same intensity. So you can't lose intensity, and that is something that happens so
Yeah,
often where you're like up 5 versus 2, and you lose 10% of intensity, and suddenly it's 2-2 again because of some sloppy mistakes, some too slow steps. Maybe the throw was just 80%, and that is something you can't afford, especially at that level. And so it grinds on you. And then also there is the problem of when do you swap someone out? If it's working, do you swap them out? If it's working, if it's not working. So if you only have 6 players, that at least
yeah,
gets
just
you
break 6.
rid of,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So and how long were the set time? Because apparently British Dodgeball doesn't have set times or anything in their um,
it
markers or the or
was
Graphics.
yeah graphics.
half-hour games, 15-minute halves. Yeah, We had,
Okay.
so yeah, we had five 15-minute half matches across the whole day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and the
But yeah,
final was that 20 minutes or still 50 minutes?
No, still 15. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think because 50 minutes is something, it makes a difference. We at Vienna Calling, we did the group stages 50 minutes and then from the knockouts on 20 minutes, and it's a difference. So 50 minutes feels very easy, and you can pretty much go if it's not, even if it's a really tough game, you can go for 50 minutes. But 20 minutes makes a difference, especially in the second half, I feel like. So, yeah, that's also
I
the
think
case.
I think that's where people, you have to use your squad and people have to go, look, take me off for 2 sets, put me back on. Like, nobody wants to come off, but sometimes because they think they won't get back on, but it's okay to say, look, I'm pretty gassed right now, put somebody fresh on for 2 sets, get me back on. And that's where it's helpful to use your squad. But I think people are reluctant to sub off, and I get that.
Yeah, yeah. No one wants to sub off unless it's a really boring game, especially when it's getting a little bit more hard to work in the game. That's what we want to play, and everyone wants it, I think. All right, so let's go from British Champs. That was the last tournament. So you both had, I would say, Adam, you had a really good season club wise. Brad, you had some close losses, but some wins against the winners. Um,
Story of our season.
Yeah. So coming into the Euros, 1 week to go. Not even that. It's close to 1 week. Not even a week left. So how do you feel about yourself, especially, and then the squad, and how the development of the last year was? Basically, yeah. Start you, Adam. You were the most successful this season. You can
Yeah.
start.
Well, I was kind of lucky. So when we sat and did this podcast the last time, I think it was maybe November when I looked at it, I was very injured. My
Yeah.
shoulder couldn't use it basically at all. Whatever I did to it at Worlds and pushed through um, was really kicking me at that time. But our club season didn't actually start till January-ish. But I've been doing physio from like September through to February, March. So quite a lot of shoulder physio to get ready, and just kind of like dipping in and out of league and Northern Ireland training. At that point, it was kind of trials, November, December, January, anyway. Um, but so the season's been good for me in terms of how it's built up in the last few months. I've just been feeling good with my shoulder and able to and knowing that if I could just get a good run of playing games, I would be able to hit some form, and hopefully I'll peak at Euros. That would be absolutely excellent. And the shoulder holds out. I think it will. Because to be honest, it was hurting before I went to Worlds, whereas this year it's pretty good. Our team as well. Again, I like starting the season in January and just having like a 6 month run into Euros. I think is pretty good, rather than sometimes you get like 11, 12, 13 month seasons, which I think is too long and potentially lets people burn out. So I think in terms of NI and building towards Euros, we're looking pretty good that way. Um, we've got thinner squad, I suppose, than last year. We've had four of our men leave or take a hiatus or whatever it is they've decided to do, but we've had to make four. I think there's four players will change. I think could be five. I can't remember, but there's four off the top of my head. The ladies team is pretty consistent, which is good. Um, so yeah, it's been just an experiment. Like we know how we have the quality, and there's been guys stepping up to play like our group games. We know the likes of Kareem, Peter Morrison, Alex Watts, and Luke Wallace played at the weekend there in our team. They all have the chance now to step up and do more, which is fantastic. And we have had a number of competitions where we've been able to use them, like NECs, group stages at Worlds, group stages at the last Euros, where they've been kind of comfortably able to see us through. So we're confident that the squad we've put together to kind of take on you guys will still be at the level required. Um, so yeah, uh, feeling pretty good.
That is good to hear. How about you, Brad? You brought your whole meteor squad basically, except for your buddy.
Yeah. uh, yeah. Yeah. So the England squad's looking good. We sort of mentioned just before recording, we will miss Tamas. I think that's going to be a loss, but I'm confident in the people that we've still got. Obviously, I feel like he's maybe a big presence on court, but certainly can be replaced in other ways. The world squad, I think, has three differences: no Tamas, no Simon, no Joe Brown. Actually, no Neely. And then I think we have some younger players in: Tom Bell, Jack Leach, uh, Jamie Hughes, and I can't remember the fourth one. So some really exciting players. Jamie's played for us this. Ah, yeah, Nick. Oh no, Nick was Worlds. Nick was Worlds.
Worlds. Maybe you took
Ah,
14.
okay.
There's
Ah,
only
yeah.
13 on your current list.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Some really exciting players like Jamie plays for us at club level. He's been absolutely brilliant all season. He was close to making worlds, and yeah, he's probably been one of the most consistent performers for us. And um, players like Jack, who have gone and got some game time, has just played fantastically well. And it's nice to have players that aren't as well known because it's harder to play against people that you don't know as frequently. I think we saw a bit of that at the weekend. Jack had some success in games where people were a bit like, "Who is this guy?"
That's good.
And
I liked him.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives you something new to think about, right? So yeah, the squad's looking good. The women's looking fantastic, and the mixed as well. Personally, feeling good. Yeah, feeling uh, like we've trained hard. There's been some. I think at club level, it's been quite difficult. We've had some amazingly good high moments, and we lost the league on set difference, which is never fun. We lost basically losing to a team we shouldn't have lost. Mid-season essentially cost us. We beat the teams around us, and I think maybe that's like the hallmark of our season, which is beating the better teams and not so good in the teams we shouldn't be losing to. So that's probably the sort of summary of where we're at the moment. But very excited to see how the squad performs. I think it's like you can put all the effort in and still just lose on a coin toss on the day. That's the quality of the teams around you. So it's not a reflection on what happens, I think, because everybody puts the work in now.
Yeah,
For
I think
sure.
it's the team I would have picked for England, which is annoying. I wish you wouldn't, but I think it's the 13 players I would have picked. So,
What about my friend?
Yeah.
yeah, but you don't play. You like he doesn't even start for you guys at the moment, so maybe he has a point to prove. Simon, maybe is just behind the others. But if I had to name the first 13, those were the 13 I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think there's always been that sort of two or three players that, depending on form, can be in or out. And then it kind of mirrors that at club level because when you know the national team, you sort of favour the people that are in so you can play around them a bit more. But then it's a style thing as well. Like, yeah, we've got a lot of meteors, but they probably aren't all in the starting six currently. So it's how do you blend with different styles? Obviously, Arnie, Alex, Steve, Tom, all of those different clubs. So it's can you get that blend, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still like seeing the squad announcements. It's still like the most turnover from one year to another. At least it feels like it. I think it's again like 4 or 5 for NI, 4 for England. I think it's 4 for us as well
Yeah, there's
from
some new
Worlds.
names on
Is that across
Austria that
the?
I
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, they're gonna be quite interesting. No one has seen them. Well, everyone has seen them because we actually have good streams of our league, so you can see
Yeah,
everyone.
I can do my research, but when they appeared on the list at the first time, I was like, ooh, that's a new name.
but actually, like no stream even gives you that detailed nuance of being on court, like
Yeah, for sure.
the micro movements, the eye, whatever it is. Like you can watch somebody from an angle, and
Yeah.
it's nothing like playing against them. I don't think.
Definitely, yeah, but I'm really excited for our team because we had some people step away for different reasons, maybe age, maybe something else, and obviously that was always expected to be a big turning point after Worlds at home, and I think it was less turnover than we thought, or maybe we're a bit afraid of because it's not so easy to step away apparently from dodgeball, and some people were like, that's my last, and then they came back in the end, and they're back again in the squad. So I think we initially thought that there would be more turnover, and I'm quite excited for this squad because we have a few newer players, also like some of them which are quite much younger, which is really good for our squad because our squad was aging. Definitely, it still is aging, but I think we lowered the age drastically this year, and so I think we've got a good mixture of really veterans who are really been there for a long time and some new blood that is really starting to push and had a really good season. So I think that will be definitely exciting, and especially like I think in the end for later stages, semis, quarters, potential finals, there will be definitely the known names, but there is some potential there. And as you said, Adam, in for group stages, just getting um, your feet into that international mix is so important for them. And we saw that at CEC that it really helped those players. And a tournament like Vienna Calling really helped those players as well. So I'm absolutely excited for it. And I think I like looked through the English squad list, and it felt like there were a few new names. Obviously, you know them as well, but it still seemed a little fresher. The team seemed a little bit fresher. Still, there are all those names you would expect, but just the dynamic looks a little, I don't know, just fresher from the outside. And so I haven't seen a squad list from you guys, Adam. I don't know if you put something out, but
No,
well,
no, not yet. But like, I don't
but
think you'll
basically,
be too.
probably everyone in the
Yeah,
world can pick your national
yeah. I
squad.
don't think you'll be too surprised. We
No,
leave
I
about
don't.
one player in the whole country doesn't get to play
Yeah,
for Northern Ireland. There's only about 12 of us that play anyway. So,
yeah.
uh,
I was gonna watch
it's
with Simon.
yeah.
That's okay.
And are they sort of retirements, Adam, or temporary walkaways? What do you think in terms of
Um,
like the bigger more
like
well-known
Sean and
names?
Calvin they've had children now. So I think that's their kind of main focus. I feel like they've maybe done their time with dodgeball and moving on. They still appear from time to time. There was like a session where we were a little bit thin on men or our like stronger men during the year, and Calvin appeared with his knee pads and played. So he's still willing to put the shift in if we need us. But um, I think they've retired, but you never know.
You never know. So Andy was at
They deserve
Vienna
a good
Calling, and
send-off
he was,
for
I think,
sure.
very close. Yeah, definitely. But I think
Is
they're always quite close to coming back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
No,
ask if
come.
Andy had sort of played at all. Or,
No, he hasn't played. I think he hasn't touched the dodgeball in a long time, but he went
no.
to a few league meets and went to Vienna Calling, and I think he was very close. I think especially that game against Tasty Nutsackers, he was like,
Yeah,
it's so annoying to watch
get me
that from
on.
the outline. And we were literally missing one arm basically in that game
Yeah,
to get some hits. So would have been good to have him
and
there, but
Kathy still plays for the women's. Is that right?
yeah, but she's not going to be at Euros. So, but
Oh, okay,
she
just
still
the club
plays,
level.
but yeah, she's got other stuff,
I
personal
must have
stuff,
missed
so
that
she's
from
not gonna.
I
Yeah,
thought she was on the list. Yeah, missed it.
no, no,
Fair.
she's not on the list. But yeah, I think like the women's team in the beginning, it felt like a lot of women would fall away, but then in the end, we also had like I think four people dropping out, but we have some young potential, and we have actually two youth players in the roster now, which is really cool, who are 16, which is very nice to get them some experience as well.
Nice.
So I think if you have 14 spots, it's you can do a lot with that. And yeah, I think it's
When
gonna
you're
be
the Austrian women's team, you can definitely do a lot with 14 spaces.
fair enough, fair enough. Yeah. So so from last podcast, which was over half a year ago, even I think it's 10 months or something ago. So we were all like back in that post tournament blues. Some of
Yeah.
us in a happy mode, some of us in sad mode, but everyone was like fed up
We'll
from
not name
dodgeball for.
names, but we all
We're
know
not
who.
gonna
So
name names, yeah. So Brad was really happy at that point. I'm really sad.
It's because I thought I was retiring, but here I am.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So that's why you were mad at him, because Brad wasn't retiring. Now it makes all sense. So
Mhm.
it all comes full circle. So, but we're still here, and one season of dodgeball. Do you feel like the fire is still there? What's the plan for this Euros? What's there to prove? Um, yeah, how you feeling personally, completely, like not just from a physiological standpoint, just mentally going back to a tournament after those big roles.
Yeah. Uh, you take it back to the previous podcast. I just didn't want to associate myself with dodgeball. Everything was terrible. I didn't want to watch any matches. And I've just kind of slowly bled myself back in, knowing that I was coming back. I hadn't retired, so it had to be done eventually. And I'm absolutely and completely dodgeball in the brain right now. I just want to be on annual leave, away from work. Concentrating in work is now much more difficult. I still have plenty of work that I need to do every day, and I just kind of have to force myself to do it. Whilst every 5 minutes, I'm like thinking of some other name that I'm about to play, and I'm being like, where can I find footage? Where are they in the squads? I haven't seen their name on the lists yet. Um, so yeah, I'm just completely dodgeball on the brain. I'm just obsessing over it at the moment, which I think is a good thing. I tend to get this way, so yeah, feeling good and ready to live it. Get into that Euros world, just disappear from real life for 5 6 days and just be in Euros land.
Sounds good.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I probably was the same after August as Adam. I really, really didn't want to see a dodgeball for a long time, and yeah, it was kind of. I sort of thought in my head like that would be my last one, and so yeah, and it has slowly got a grip on me again this season. I'm kind of like I think I'm more appreciative because perhaps this is you don't know when your last tournament is, and so I'm just appreciating the friends I have, the tournaments I go to, the good times we have, and um, it's for me it's not actually like an age or an ability thing. I feel as fit as I've ever felt, and I feel as um, good as I've ever been. It's more like just life taking over, so it's kind of a bittersweet thing because you're sort of like I'd rather be pushed out because I'm no longer good enough or because somebody else has come through. But life takes over, so I'm just trying to appreciate all the tournaments, get back into that. Like Adam says, that second life where people actually know your name. You go back and everyone's like, "How was volleyball?" Um, so yeah, perhaps not as like obsessed as I was, just enjoying it, enjoying the ride. But I'm sure as soon as that whistle goes, I will be, um, yeah, right, ready for it, and nothing can stop us focusing on the goal, I guess.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a healthy amount of excitement, because I was in a different place obviously, but also quite fed up with dodgeball, and I was like just waiting for it to get back to me, and it also took a while to get back to me. So we started training again, and our league season started in I think December or November, and it was like no one was really into it, but we luckily have a lot of young players and youngsters who are really excited for training and everything. So sort of we did the trainings for them and just participated, but it was really low key. And then with the season and finding new goals and finding a new rhythm, it's started to grow on me again. And I think at CC, I don't know when that was, somewhere afterwards, I felt like it was really fun playing against different people again. And as you said, like this little dodgeball land where you get to get away into a little bubble for the weekend and just don't think anything but dodgeball, be someone, don't have to think about work, kids, or anything else, which is really like extremely relaxing for me. So that is basically the holidays I need. And so I've been looking at it more like in that perspective. Then I went to Paris with some boys from your countries, which was also just pure pleasure and just complete fun. And it really got me back into the spirit of I just enjoy the whole experience. And so getting that competitive level, because our league is just different than yours, and we are just basically playing for spots, and then we have a final day where we play for everything. So the league doesn't really matter up till the end. So it really took that last few weeks, and I feel like the last 2 months have been really intensifying. And so for me, it's not as obsessive as Adam probably. So I can't watch that much footage anymore. So I just obsess about myself and my people in training, and obsess about their little mistakes, not focusing too much on myself. But then getting really that spirit of where you think about dodgeball and dodgeball moments, and like thinking about the game off the court, that is for me the sign that I'm really starting to get back into it. When I'm under the shower and I feel about think about dodgeball, then I know the tournaments that I care about is getting closer. So I think I've actually I feel even I don't know I don't know how it was last year, but I feel even more excited for some reason for this tournament, but not just for the competitive side, but just for the whole experience. And like you said, Brad, it's we're at the time where I don't know which is going to be my last tournament, and I don't think this is going to be it, but who knows, and who knows what happens. So I just appreciate the whole experience, and trying to also mentally refocus my priorities, where it's like there's still winning is the main goal, and that's what drives me, and that's what gets me to the gym each day and stuff like that. But also like appreciating the whole process, appreciating just being able to go away from your family for 1 week, which is not something to take for granted, which is something really special. And so it puts another value on the whole experience, and I really try
Mm.
to soak that all up and just be appreciative for that. So I think that helps to see it in a bit of a more mature light, maybe not such an egoistical way, but still at the end of the day I just want to win. So it's
Yeah.
like a little bit of a duality in me, that I try to find the balance and really still try to figure out for the next week how I'm going to show up and what's going to be a like successful weekend, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. And it's good to still have those goals, and I think the people around you make it. Like I think like I've got some really good friends in my meteors team over the years, but like this current group are like really good mates. And I feel like if they hadn't been around, I probably would have packed it in a while ago now. So it's the people you're playing for. Obviously, there's ambitions like you want to win certain things, and that you have numbers in mind, but that's not like the number one goal. Or maybe it is. Who knows? But um, yeah. So I'd like to get the gold back, but I'm still going to enjoy the whole process. I think
Yeah. So
Adam
that's
actually ruined my perfect Euros men's record in Dracton, so it may as well be ruined further.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
I think it's very healthy to get that ruined at some point. So I think that Ryan ruined my perfect Vienna calling track record, which is really not a long-standing record, but still it hurt. But I think it's really important to sometimes get a little bit and knock off. And so let's just get into a little bit of that psychological thing, because we come into this tournament, I think, from pretty much the same expectation. We all are there at the end of the day to win that tournament. Let's just talk about men's and mixed. And I think everyone, if we do the predictions in the end, is going to put themselves first. I would be very surprised to hear anything different. Uh, but then at the end of the day, so there's a lot of history now. So you don't come there as a new face like maybe Jack, who can just go in there and try to perform, or Johan Eigner from MCO from our squad, who's 18 and has his first European championships of many before him, which is really cool. But for us, it's like I start with myself. So it's a very different feeling going to these Euros than the last ones, where we came off Drachten, which was really bad for us, even though the results were quite nice, but it felt like a downfall. And then we had a little bit of an upswing for Osijek, and it felt really good being able to compete. And then we went into Worlds with lots of hopes and dreams, but not that many expectations, to be honest. And then we went there and everything worked out perfectly. And now the situation for us is just, it feels mentally completely different going to Euros for me, because it's really tough to not see anything than gold as anything valuable, if that makes sense. So it feels everything that isn't gold feels like a letdown basically, and that is something I'm really trying to fight because I know it isn't, and I think the competition is going to be much tougher this year than it's ever been before, and I think this tournament is probably the toughest to win since Worlds, yeah, last year. So really trying to reorganize that focus and those goals is something I'm personally trying to handle at the moment, to really get uh, a start without too much back noise, if you understand what I mean. So maybe give me a perspective where you guys come from, because obviously Euros is Adam's land. So he comes from a back to back and he's trying to make a pattern.
Yeah,
Brad, you're coming from a position where you basically been the favorites for 20 years, but you haven't won anything since 2018, which is so weird to think about, but that is something like also sort of a pressure that builds up. So what are the expectations and what is like the mindset going in that you would call this tournament a success?
yeah, it's an interesting question. Um, as you said, and I perform well at Euros. We are back-to-back men's champions, but we only came third at the Worlds. So in your head, you're like what we lost. We're still number one ranked. We're still the champions, but we lost the previous competition, which doesn't affect the Euros rankings at all. Um, so it's a mixture of confidence going into Euros, and then obviously the anxiety and the pressure of not making it to where we wanted to be at Worlds. Uh, yeah, I don't. It's a difficult question to answer. I think that we are confident, and our goals are to win every single game and push you guys as far as we can go, and hopefully bring back at least one gold medal across the three divisions. I think we're capable of doing that. Where that medal will come from, could be any of them. I'm sure would be equally pleased with whichever one we get. Hopefully, it's more. Um, but yeah, like it's a tough question to answer in terms of the other goals. Like my goals are, yeah, and I appreciate what you said about the difficulty in the groups. I do think this is the most difficult run that we'll have. I think there has been some Euros which have been comfortably making the semi-finals, but all these other nations have now developed and developed, developed, and whilst I think the three of our nations should still be confident that we'll come out on top against the rest of them, it will be a lot less straightforward. Um, so in terms of that mindset, I've had to adjust, and we've had to put a lot of focus into being ready for every single game, and there's going to be a game where something doesn't go right, and we're going to have to that's going to challenge us in the moment, and we're going to have to deal with it and not and kind of expect it to happen, and know that we can get through it, and then just put it away, knowing that that should not affect our performance going forward. I think that will be important. If you run into some trouble, which I expect at least one of our teams to do, that you don't let that trouble affect you further on down the tournament. Um, so yeah, I guess that's what our mindset is at the moment. Brett?
It's kind of weird for me. Like it's a dual mindset. Like on a personal level, I've like I don't want to blow my trumpet. I won every Euros bar one, and the one we lost was in a catch on the last second. So like England, yeah, they have a bit of a run of not winning Euros golds, but like when I think of myself as a player, I feel like I have almost a perfect record there. So I don't think of this hiatus without a gold as like this is a problem I'm suffering with. So I think from a captain's perspective, it's good that doesn't sit on my shoulders because I'm not thinking every time I go on court we're losing for 6-7 years, whatever. But that being said, obviously there is a spell of Euros where we've not performed the way we should. Um, Realistically, I think we're no longer in that mindset that we're at the absolute favourites to win. I've always thought we have one of the best squads, but on the day, any six can win. And I agree with Adam. I think this is going to be a Euros where I wouldn't be surprised to see a shock or a team pushed to winning by a set or two against a non-traditional like big three nation. I think it's going to be one of those Euros where you think like Czech or France or Scotland or whoever it might be are going to push teams like the three of us really hard. And so I think we're going to have to switch on really early doors. There was a time you could coast to the Sunday, right? But I don't think that's the case anymore. Um, I think mindset wise, it's just thinking about trying to play the moment because when we play you guys, both of you, there's it's such a history of games in your head, and like it's not a blank canvas. It's like, oh yeah, well Adam did that in 2017, but he didn't do it in 21, and he did it in 24. Like it's such a montage of things, and sometimes you can get stuck in your own head. And same with you, Stefan. I can think, well, he did this in the mixed final in Austria, but he didn't do it in Canada, and it's trying to just think. And actually, the teams that do successfully kind of play you just at face value. When you saw on the weekend teams that just came and took it to us, and same at the British Open, we thought, wow, like they're just showing us no respect, and we love that. And I guess the same with you, Stefan, for Vienna Calling. Team players you didn't really know who just took it to you, whereas maybe I'd be triple, quadruple guessing every action. So I think it's trying to clear your headspace and play what's in front of you and not overthink it. So yeah, and it's there's so many good nations out there. I think 10 years ago, if you said England weren't going to win gold, I'd say we've messed up something. But it's perfectly possible to do all the prep, work hard, and just not win on the day, and say fair play to another team. So, like being ready mentally for any outcome, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is really the place where we want dodgeball to grow into, basically, where it's not just pre-tournament and you go in there and go group stages are just coasting through, and then whoever is ready on Saturday and has the better semi-finals going to be to the final for sure. And I think that was the first time when I saw the group, what's it called, drawing, the draw of the groups, yeah. um, where I was like, okay, our group seems really hard. And I was like, where are the easy groups? And there aren't any easy groups left, basically. And it's like, usually in the past, it was like you had one team where you were, okay, I'll have to play 90% for that game. And then look out at the other games, doesn't matter who plays, basically. And I don't feel like there is much of that left. And that is really, really cool on the one hand. On the other hand, I think it also makes a new difficulty for teams like us, where we always want to win gold in men's and mixed. And so we put our best players in both of them. And so I think it's going to be much more of a strain for the top teams as well. Where in the past it was like, yeah, you could really rest a lot of key players for the first 2 days, and then see in the semifinals everyone was healthy. And I think we looked at our draw and we were like, well, that's a really tough draw. And basically, at least for us, it's if we progress as should be, like if all the favorites do their job, then basically we have to play either not NI or England in every semi-final, and then in the final, and we're gonna have a quarterfinal potentially against Scotland or Spain or someone like that, where it's not a thing of certainty that you're gonna win that game. So you're gonna have to play probably four extremely tough matches on Saturday if you do your job right the days before. So, and 4 days of 40 minutes, that's quite a strain, to be honest, for everyone. So I think it's going to be a big burden, and that's, I think, where probably England has the best position, where you have that broader squad, where you have 12 or 13 players who can really share that burden more than maybe an I or we can do that. And I think also that gives other nations who maybe just focus on one side and just put the best players in men's or mixed, and they can really push those nations that have to maybe split themselves up a little bit and make it a little bit thinner at the ends, where those upsets can happen. And I think we're going to see much more of that in the future. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a little bit like not nervous, but I'm definitely conscious of that fact that that's going to be an issue, and I think it's going to be an issue this year. And I think there is potential for upset. And I think even if everything turns out the way we might think it will, it's still going to be really tough to get into those last 3 or 4 games of the weekend and be mentally and physically ready for that. So yeah, that's I think that is really exciting, but it feels like a switch that that will be happening from this year's Euros on to the next, unless we make Euros a 7 days event as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the depth of squad's important, and giving people that chance to step up, but also, until you've played those tournaments, you can only go so far in training. And it's amazing over the years how many like young prodigies have come up and they've just not quite made the mark and you've had to rely on the same old faces at times to like carry you through. And it's upsetting because you'd be like, oh, we thought you were that guy, but you weren't quite that guy. So I just want to see that next generation come through and just like be those people who just go, wow, like they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah. So when you guys saw the group draw, what were your first reactions? How do you feel about your groups and your knockout stages if you have looked at them, Brett?
Let me get the groups
I
up and
start with
remind
you.
myself.
I'll start with you, Adam.
That means he hasn't
Yeah.
even. That means he
He
hasn't even
doesn't
looked. He doesn't
care.
care.
There's a screenshot in the chat somewhere.
Yeah, I go straight to which
It's just one.
who's out of us three who's playing who in the semi-final. That's why I try to work
Yeah.
out. It's like which one are you going to have to play both in order to win. Thankfully, we got one of mixed and men's. We got mixed, where you two have to play each other, which is good. And then men's, unfortunately, we do have to play Austria and then into England if we are successful. I do prefer the way Euros does it with the 4 groups and the predetermined setup, because when you move into 5 groups that Worlds had, then you have to rank the top one in each group, and we can't compete in that. And we always come 3rd or 4th, and you guys always take the top 2 spots, and whoever wins gets to avoid. So in mixed it was Austria, and men's it was England at Worlds. Whereas Euros, I'm like, we've earned our rank to be number 1 in Euros. Just let the predetermined draw do its thing, and we'll accept whatever it is. So it is nice that it's paid off in one of our divisions anyway.
Yeah, and it really has just paid off in one of the divisions, because I think at least in the women's, we're not going to talk much about that, but it's like the group is NI and England, and they're going to face pretty much Austria in the
that's pretty
quarterfinal. That
terrible.
is really like the big
Wow.
three, at least in the women's, is going to come to an end, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That's due to that's the Northern Ireland women's seed not quite reflecting their ability. They tend to like get a medal and then come 5th, and then get a medal and then come 5th, and then that's put them in pot 2, which when you're in pot 2 there's the risk you can run into that. So they just have to deal with it.
so that'll be a huge game on the last group game, NI versus England women.
Final, yeah, it'll be absolutely massive.
Yeah, it really will be a good game to watch.
Yeah, the rest of the group, I'll get into it, as you said. Our men's group, I personally think it's the worst. I think that the Welsh team in pot 3, that is a much stronger Welsh team now than it was a year ago. So, and I think it's a coin toss between them and the French, I think, who are also in our group, who are really up and coming and developing. I think Wales is like they just pulled together a good list of kind of established names, and they'll be very hard to beat. Whereas this French team is just improving and improving and improving, and they're going to all the competitions. They're in obviously in Paris because it's in France, but they're going to Vienna and they performed really well. I think it's a coin toss which one of them goes through in the group, and it'll probably be devastating to the other that has to go into playoffs for 9th place, when potentially either of them could could make a semi-final with the way the draw is laid out. You'll get, I guess you'll get my answer when we do our predictions, who I think might just pip them. So those are two very tough games. And then I guess down the bottom we've got Hungary, who we haven't played before. So there's a little bit of having to work that out, less familiarity, and they have been around for a couple of Euros now, so they've obviously got something about them that we need to work out. And then the one downside of being in Group B is that we do have to play an extra game compared to the Austrians, who do only have 3 games, which is great for giving people game time. If you're clean and you don't lose a lot of sets and you can rotate people on, fantastic. But if it gets tricky, then you've had to put a lot of effort in for another 40 minutes, which is something we'll have to work on. Mixed, then I'll touch on our group. Northern Ireland, Sweden, Northern Ireland, Sweden, Netherlands, Belgium, and Ukraine. This is identical to our group from 2 years ago, pretty much. We swapped Belgium for Spain. Spain, who actually entered as pot 4 and then came second in our group. They were kind of the surprise package. And then at the bottom, a new with Norway 2 years ago and Ukraine this year as kind of a new entry. I think that's a fairly standard group. I do think the Netherlands have improved significantly, and I do think that'll be a big clash between the Swedes and the Dutch to see who goes through there. Again, could be devastating, will be devastating for whoever doesn't get out of that group, but we just have to be ready for both those teams. But it is teams we are more familiar with. Sweden, there's been memes going around and shared between our two teams that I think we've been attached to them by the hip at the last 5 international tournaments they've been in our group, and they are completely sick to death with us. Yeah, well, I mean, we'd like some variety to play somebody different, but I always say to our guys, like, even though we have been successful on every time we've played them, you can't expect a team to play you that many times and not improve.
Yeah.
So there's just one of these times it's just going to become really difficult, and it could be this year.
Yeah.
Nice. I have the groups in front of me now.
Reading them for the first
Reading
time.
them.
Oh, he is very surprised. He looks a bit anxious.
Austria and wait. No. Well, looking at this, the mixed group is very boring. Having 2 home nations teams, I'm very disappointed. We have to play Scotland and Wales. I want to play anyone I've not played, not the same people I see every other week. So sad that we have Scotland and Wales. Would much rather have some new nations, particularly because the home nations teams play in the same style, and there's some benefit to playing against teams that play a little bit different and do something you don't expect, particularly for our players who are like 7th and 8th choice that could be 5th and 6th choice, because I want to see how they handle a bit of craziness. I remember at the World Cup we had Argentina, and we had some players who just couldn't handle like them doing rogue things, and I think sometimes you have good players that are good players in like hold on, why have you thrown a 4th ball? Like, you're not allowed to do that. Like, that's not the rule. So I want to see people in different situations, and I know Scotland and Wales will be very regimented. So that will be interesting, but will give us a good challenge. Like, it's the flip side of that is it's going to be decent matches, as Adam alludes to. They're confident players. And then Norway, never played Norway before, so looking forward to that. And I believe we get Austria in the semis if we make it that far, which will be a lovely rematch of the final from last August. Looking at the men's, I quite like the men's because I think it kind of is like a nice ladder of difficulty, like Portugal onto Netherlands, onto Spain, onto Scotland. Each one is a bit more challenging, and Scotland obviously will give us no respect, which we want, and will challenge us, which we want. The Netherlands, again, some big throwers. I think they're improving every time we've seen them. And I've never played Spain before, so really looking forward to playing Spain. And then we pair up without either of you two in the semis, which, let's be honest, that's better than pairing up with you two in the semis. Yep. Some people say, oh, you have to play everyone. Actually, no, you don't. Sometimes you really don't have to play everyone. And me and Stefan, we haven't really played too much men's cloth against each other, despite being around
That's
for
so
so
true,
many
yeah.
years. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy how little we played in men's division. It's mostly been mixed, I would say.
Yeah.
So, Adam, don't
Yeah,
spoil
what a
it for us.
shame that it won't be happening this year either, really.
It may never happen
Yeah.
again. Let the fans have what they want.
do have to say, looking at
Ah,
your men's group, I think if that was Austria or NI, we would be very unhappy. I think that group suits the depth of England the most. I think you have the worst pot 5 and the worst pot 4 in that as well. I think Northern Ireland would actually find that very, very annoying if we were in Group C.
Yeah.
So thankfully not in there. Just the two heavy hitters, France and Wales, in ours that we have to deal with instead.
And yeah, I'm intrigued to see that match, and I saw how well the French women did at the Vienna Calling, and obviously just a testament to how well France are doing as a dodgeballing nation.
yeah. We played against, so Licorne was there with, and which is basically half of the national squad as well. And they are just all around 20 years old, 20 to 23 years old, just running up and down, jumping up and down. And they've been
I don't-
playing dodgeball for a few years now, so they're really good and capable. Still a little green behind the ears at some point, and they tend to lose in the last set against everyone. But up to that point, they're really annoying and aggressive. And yeah, I think it's gonna be very interesting. And I think, as you said, Adam, Group C is really, that's not a fun group to be in. Except so, as if you're England, you can handle it probably best. And so I'm not too mad that I'm not in that group. Although I really wanted to play Spain in some division at some point.
I do.
Never
I
played
don't
them.
think Iceman is in attendance. He is a lot of fun to play against, but he wasn't on their team sheets. Yeah,
Really?
I don't know.
wasn't on their team
I
sheets.
don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's there. Like,
So I've heard about him, but I've never really actually seen him. I think
yeah, he's
because I like the only thing of Spain I saw the last few years was basically when they entered and they had some really colorful kids, and then the one thing I saw when they played you in the bronze medal match, but we were really late to that match, so I didn't see a lot of that. And then I tried to watch them at Worlds, and they just got smashed by the US
Yep.
team in the mix, and I was like, okay, don't know what's that all about. So I was really looking forward to playing them at least in one division, and I think even in the knockouts, it's not gonna happen. So that is very
That's a
sad.
shame.
Yeah, but so I think still, Brad. So Scotland is looking quite good as well. So you're gonna have a tough battle because otherwise, if you come in second or we lose to Switzerland or Sweden, we're gonna meet in the quarterfinals.
Jeez. Yeah,
No,
actually, I just searched up the Scotland squad just to remind me of who's in it, and
yeah,
yeah, it's like all capable players, right? You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It's gonna be an
um,
annoying game, definitely. So
yeah,
they,
it's the sort of game you're glad is 40 minutes because the team tends to come out on top. But if you were playing them in like an 8 minute half or a 15, you would think that could easily
yeah.
go to the
Let's
wire.
touch on that for a second. How did you pull off that one set against Ronda Dragons? I have watched it 10 times. You should have been out.
That
They had you beat. It is a
yeah,
miracle set.
Nick Nesta made a fingertip catch. I then came on and made a pre-throw and catch with four balls, and
If you haven't
I have
found
no
this,
idea how he
Stefan, you
nicked
need
it.
to go and watch it.
I've
It's
never
on
seen
a
it.
It was about
yeah, it's
3
on a
weeks
YouTube
ago.
channel.
Yeah,
Okay, you have to
YouTube
send me the
channel
link.
Tom's Dodgeball stuff. It's Tom Carlton from the Welsh team,
we were on
and
the
they were
brink
like
of
6-0
defeat.
down or 8-2 down or something
Ugh,
absolutely crazy, and there only is time for like three sets a half
Chris,
in 8 minute halves,
yeah,
and they're 2-6 down. They've given away 5 balls 4 times in the set and lost everybody. And Nick Messer just makes the most ridiculous. I don't even know how he even saw the ball coming catch. And then Brett finds
yeah.
a catch out of 3 that he has no right to take as well. And I was just like, that's just impossible. Like, how have they done that? Yeah.
It was nuts. I was like subbing earlier in those days, like right, stay fresh for the later stages, and wall to net gives you no opportunity to sub the first two sets off. Like it's so up against it.
Ah,
I
that is
can't
still so
believe
weird.
he's got
Eight
away with
minutes
that.
against the wall. That is just a. Okay,
I
I need to watch that.
if there's a wall in Limerick, I just won't play.
Yeah, no. Definitely not. That is something in Austria. If there is a wall involved, we are not doing it. That just destroys the game
I hate it.
completely.
Does. Like we were playing the semi-finals against Storm with a wall, and like I remember like taking a risk, hitting a pre-throw. It was like a perfect toe shot. I thought, yeah, great. They reset. They got four balls. They got a hit. Got all four. Got a hit, and that was the end of the set. It's like you get punished for taking any risk at all.
Yeah, yeah. That's just no fun, especially when you have Steve against you. You
Oh
can
yeah.
reload infinite.
In
That's
fact,
not.
if there is a wall, Steve will be playing a
Yeah,
lot.
definitely. That's the only thing I remember. Like that was the Invitational at Worlds 2016, and I just remember playing in the mixed against Steve with some women that were there just for fun and never played dodgeball, and they just either they got hit or they heard a boom next to them, and the ball got right back to Steve, which is not a fun thing to
No,
see or feel.
no,
Okay,
no.
so tough groups all around. I think, like yeah. So our group in the men's with Switzerland, Sweden, and Belgium is like mixed feelings. We always no, not always, but recently we've played against Sweden and Switzerland quite often, but not in a group, so it's fine, and I really enjoy those games. And I think Switzerland and Sweden have a really good men's squad, and they're especially Sweden, I know, are hungry for more than the third spot in the group. And so I think that's
You'll
going to
have
be
to
a
get
really
out.
interesting game.
You'll have to
And
get out of
Belgium,
bed
I
for
don't.
Switzerland this season. Do you know this
Uh,
story, Brett? At the last Euros, it was like
yeah.
the 8 a.m. game, and
No.
Stefan was at home or in the hotel watching it on stream as his team won by one set in like the quarterfinal or the
Oh
group.
really?
I just remember
Whoa.
And we were
Really?
down like 6-2 or 8-2 or something like that. And
in
it was
Croatia,
Wow.
yeah.
Was this in
really.
Croatia?
I think
Yeah, that
I,
was in Osijek. Yeah, it was in Osijek, and
Wow.
we still call it Swissgate to this day, and it
it's
comes
funny.
up
I remember
often. It
asking,
comes up
like
very
walking
often.
past them, and just I probably made some sly comment, and I think it was Jakob Lehrer. He just went, "Oops," and that was it. And I thought that just described it perfectly.
Yeah, that was
It-
basically the sentiment, and then they came back, and I just screamed at
Perhaps you
them
could have
for
been
1 hour.
courtside just to be safe.
Yeah, that was the first time in 10 years where I was like, boys, I need a
Wow.
rest. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay, stay at home, and whew, it almost bit us in the ass. So we're not gonna do that again. But we have, I think, the quarterfinals at 8 o'clock on Saturday. So we're really
Oh,
trying to get the squad ready for 8 o'clock games because we lost to the
8
Tasty
a.m.
Nutsackers at 8 a.m. as well, or
Oh.
8:30, which is just not a healthy time to play
How
dodgeball.
how do the quarters work? Like,
AB
who do you
with B
pair
and
up with?
CD.
Like, how does that?
We pair up with your no, yeah, exactly. A, B, and
What
B.
for the quarters?
Yeah, so quarters is for us probably Scotland or you or Spain or Netherlands, maybe not
Okay,
Portugal.
possibly
So
not.
yeah,
And and so that's D and C, is it? Did you
yeah.
say? Or okay,
So Adam has no idea who he's gonna meet in the quarters because Italy or Czechia, probably one of those two. I don't know how strong the island team is, but I think
so
Czechia and Italy, probably
so maybe
Czechia.
France or Wales for us, possibly then.
Ah, yeah, yeah, probably France or Wales. Yeah. No, no,
Interesting.
you play against Sweden or Switzerland. You play against
Ah, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Okay,
so
interesting.
that's gonna be very interesting, I think. And then obviously in the semis, that's not too much fun. And in the mixed, I think the mixed division for us is quite it's yeah boring. We always play against Czechia and we played against France at Vienna Calling, but I really like playing against France. Czechia I wouldn't need to play again because we have them at CEC, but Switzerland as well and Slovakia I have no idea what their team's gonna be like. Don't know if they've
Mm.
ever attended the Euros, if that is their first time. So that is gonna be yeah. And
We always make extremely hard work of Czechia in the mix, so I'm kind of glad we've avoided them.
yeah, that is true. Like, they really play well against you. But we have them in league, basically their national team, so we play them every other weekend. And the Nasties, they do a lot of upsets against Spartans and stuff, but the Nasties just kill them. They just I don't know how why, but we really like playing against them, and that's CEC as well. So they have really good players and a great team. So I think they're gonna be a problem for a lot of nations, but usually not for us. But I've said that once, and then we came in fourth in the league, so I'm not. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm gonna take it all back.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, obviously it's just for us. It's basically getting as healthy as possible to Saturday, and then just going all out and see what's left on Sunday if there's something
it's
left to do.
it's such a fine line between like not depleting your fitness levels, but also feeling like you've had enough quality game time to be up the races on the Saturday and Sunday, and
Yeah,
likewise that your fringe players are playing so well, but maybe are depleted because they played more. So such a fine line.
yeah. I think like the 4 day tournament is really good, but really intense as well. So it's like the perfect mix of where you can do it, but if you play double, it's gonna stretch you to the limits. So yeah, especially if the teams get better. So I think it's not something
Yeah.
you can do forever like this. But this year it's hopefully gonna work out. But yeah, those are definitely some spicy games that we have to look out for. And I think like the last game is always against the second spot in the group. So I think that Friday evening is going to be really interesting, and everyone's going to be watching those games, seeing
It's
how
yeah. I think we
that.
have Scotland men's and mixed on the same day, which is just
Woo,
not ideal for the day before a knockout start at 8 a.m.
yeah, yeah, for both. Yeah, that's going to be that. No, I don't envy you that. That is not a perfect day
time
for Friday.
time for Steve to hit that wall.
Yeah, hope for a wall. Hope for a wall and hope for Steve and Steve we trust. Then it's gonna be fine. All right. So there was one more thing I wanted to get into, but I forgot it at this point. Do you guys have anything you like to get off your chest before we head to Limerick?
Nothing pressing.
No, nothing that can't wait till next week.
That's good. So, since we're not gonna go into tactics or anything else, I think if you guys are up for it, we're gonna repeat this session after Limerick a few weeks later when the dust has settled and some of us have stopped crying or partying,
Uh,
and then we just
the winner gets the podcast for the year.
ooh,
Did you know that, Brett?
it's a lot of work. Don't know if Brett has time for that. And
Yeah.
you have a dog now, Adam, so don't stretch yourself thin. This is no thing for you. But and obviously, like the grid in Northern Ireland doesn't seem too stable. So
No, it's certainly not where I am. This is like the third this year.
really, but
Normally in a storm, but it's a nice day today, and they still decided to turn it off. So
so that's not
That's
I
good
don't
for
know what
it's the
happened.
heat. You having a heat wave as well, Adam?
Oh yeah, massive 20 degrees,
that is
It's
big.
just
huge.
giving me flashbacks to Graz.
Yeah. So we had a bit over 30 today, and it felt a little bit grassy.
Yeah,
So I'm really looking forward to Limerick, which should be at least I expect it to be proper
actually,
temperature.
we never had any predictions from you, Stefan, on who's going to take the triple gold.
Yeah.
You're going
So
to back your boys and girls, of course.
obviously I have to. So that's the main objective, and it's something I'm a quit. I don't know, a little bit hesitant to even think about. But after the last 2 years, it's the obvious thing. We just need that triple goal. I need it to complete dodgeball. Then I'm current holder of all the national and international stages. So that is definitely the goal. That is what I'm training for. But on the other hand, I'm like, it's really, really unrealistic that it's
It's
possible.
possible.
It is
No, it's
possible.
possible.
No, I think it definitely is possible, and I really feel confident about our squads. But seeing who we're up against and our knockout stages and stuff like that, a lot has to go right in our direction, and maybe it will. Then and we get a chance at it. But I think that's going to be
You,
definitely a very intense weekend. But I'm
you
there to win triple gold.
you have to retire on more Euros than Worlds because it's just an anomaly. Like nobody should have more Worlds than Euros.
Yeah, that's the thing we're always talking
It's
about. Like
true.
we're a really bad nation for Euros, or like we have way too few European championships for like the standing
Yeah,
we
yeah.
give ourselves. So we need to win something and not just let the women do the heavy lifting. So yeah, I'll back myself and our team for gold, but it's not something I say with 100% confidence. But I'll go in there with 100% confidence, and then I think people have to push us out of that place, and we're not gonna make it easy on them. But I'm really, really looking forward to those semifinals, finals, quarterfinals, to those games. I really can't wait
Yeah.
really settle it on court, because now it's all in my head and it's like, obviously it's possible, but is it really realistic? Can we do it? Is that not asked a little bit too much to ask? But once
I
the
feel
whistle blows, we're gonna be
yeah.
there and try everything.
I feel like on the days before the knockouts, I feel like that scene off the Avengers when he like looks at the 400 million possibilities and there's like there is one way to win.
Yeah.
Let's hope we figure it out.
Yeah,
And
that's
you've played like every scenario in your head and like visualized every possible outcome. And you're like, there is one way.
there is one way, and probably
We've
only
seen it,
one.
and it's the Irish organisers wheeling in the walls.
Steve putting on his glove with all the
It's
infinity stones and just throwing pain.
it's a 2012 Italian train that's coming back.
Yeah, so if they got walls, we need to overthink our tactics.
I would love to see that one tournament, just like
Wall to
something we've
wall.
never. Well, just something we've never seen before. Like somebody, I don't know, holds the ball in the middle or holds them one in from the, like some random tactic that just breaks the game. You kind of go like, "Wow, I never thought that before."
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that in Graz, but it wasn't working, I think. So
No.
it's still there's
It's
still
not to the level it needs to.
back to the drawing board. But maybe different athletes with different capabilities. Maybe with more of
Sure.
those foam ninjas come over to the cloth world and gonna start be unhittable from 3 meters range. Then
God.
it's gonna be a different game, maybe possible. So, but
Yeah.
we're probably safe from them at Euros for 1 year at least. So maybe yeah, that was something like. Do you have any idea about like how the foam program goes in your country and what the predictions or goals are? Do you guys
And
play
start.
foam?
We don't have foam.
Not an island.
That's
It's
good.
just
My
taking
predictions.
everyone except for one person.
Yeah,
'cause the
and my
entire-
predictions are England in all three categories.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for foam.
I think they seem to be a fantastic side, and like just from that opening ceremony when they were taking sets off Malaysia in the Worlds, I was like, wow, like what an achievement that is. They toe to toe for at least 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes with one of the best. If they can get triple gold, pressure's on us to go and get the first ever six-peat, but no pressure.
Yeah, that is true. True, that is a 6-peat. That's a new. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this. Like the medal table, it's just going to become skewed.
Yeah.
We can't compete in foam, and you guys are just going to farm
'Cause the-
farm medals in foam.
Because the entire population plays cloth in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's
I
good.
think we like last season we had a try at one of our trials. I just remember Sean asking the questions like, okay, like we're able to enter foam at Worlds if we want to, and we can put a team together if we get enough. Would anyone like to? And one person had put their hand up, and it was a trialee that we didn't then take into the squad. And that was it.
So the spark has
Big
been
red
set.
X on their head.
Yeah, so it's probably gonna take the other nations again like 10 years to catch up to England, which is their time to farm trophies all around. Maybe I
I
think
know.
Italy and Sweden and maybe Spain as well, because they play. Maybe Iceland is just playing foam. Did you
Maybe.
I didn't check.
watch the foam roster? Because he plays Dodgeball, which is more foam, apparently. So they
Okay.
played foam for a longer time, just with different rules. So yeah, I think everyone is expecting England to take the treble.
We'll
at the-
farm as many trophies as we can.
Yeah.
Whilst we same
Yeah,
same as
the
the
Italians
youth.
have obviously been playing longer.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah, of
we
course.
don't. But I just think there are players in England who have the biggest talent pool who are actively choosing foam
Yeah.
and are also very, very good at cloth. So they're just great dodgeballers, and I think that will be difficult to beat.
Yeah, so I
Well,
think
if we get knocked out in the semis, I might try and hop onto the final on the other court.
just for that trophy.
Yeah, please.
But the thing is, I think just in about 5 years, we're gonna just reduce foam to 5-ball foam, and then it starts anew, and then every nation can catch up to England, and we just start the count from there, and everything that was before that is just
Yeah, just change the ball number.
that it doesn't even count as dodgeball. So pretty much not all of them, but a lot of the titles in Brett's cabinet just
Oh my
don't
God.
really count.
We we have a measurement in England which is like the pre-Nathan Christopherson era and the post-Nathan Christopherson era, because we'd won every single trophy and then he joined and we've not won a gold since. So we have this standing joke that like he's a curse,
Yeah,
despite
and
being
you're
a
still
brilliant
bringing him
player.
with you. That is
I know.
the
I know.
non-believers.
He's
Non-believers.
gonna break the curse.
He's gonna break the curse. Okay, so he's gonna play foam this year, apparently.
No, no.
Or he goes over there. So he should really consider foam the way that
Yeah.
sounds, because this is a terrible curse, and I hate if Adam and I just continue that curse, but we'll do it. I'm
Fuck.
pretty confident. Sorry, Nathan. Okay, so then with that said, England's gonna get all the foam medals, which I think our guys have a little bit against, and they'll try everything. But I think from the squad I've seen and from the people that actively choose foam in England, it's going to be a tough fight for everyone else. Even though if they're really good at foam, like the level of experience you guys have is just, I think, too much for everyone at this point.
Was it fairly close in Worlds though? I think when England and Austria played in foam, I feel like it was touch and go for a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I think it wasn't really close, but in the beginning we went head to head, and I think we have the talent and we have some players who are really good at foam and who have really dedicated themselves over the last 2 years. But the thing is, we just don't have the depth. And you guys had a full year of foam
Yeah.
league, and we had 2 tournaments, and I won one of those, and I don't play foam, so which is just, I think, too little practice. So I think they're
Yeah.
doing really well, and we've played against them as the national team, like the Clough squad. A few of them played our foam team in foam, and we lost the first and won the second. And they
So
looked
it's close.
much better than they looked a year ago. But I think just the competition is missing. So you guys just have way better sparring, and I think you really need that sparring to sharpen your skills. So I think it's going to be a good game, but I'm a little bit pessimistic about that top spot. But I think we're still gonna try and fight for those medals, and especially our women's team is really strong, so they're gonna try to give England a run for their money. And I think some other
Nice.
nations, I've heard good things from Sweden and Spain and Italy, so I think they're not gonna go away easily and make it too easy on England.
Yeah, I think Italy women are quite good
Yeah,
from my understanding.
I think so too. All right, guys. So let's head into predictions. Let's start with the current holder of all the titles, Mr. Adam Hill. What's your prediction for
Yep.
this year?
We only won one at the last
Still,
Euros.
it seems like that.
Right. Where's my note?
Oh, here's a notebook. That's way
I'm
too
going to take a
professional.
note of Adam's notes
Yeah.
because I think mine's not even possible, probably.
Right. So obviously we're going to win, which means that England will come second in the men's, because Northern Ireland will have defeated Austria in the semi-final, meaning the Austrians get third. And here's where it's tricky. So
Listen up, Brett.
I then have to choose between, I think whoever comes second in our group is going to come fourth, and that is either France or Wales. And right now I think it's going to be, I just think the Welsh team is slightly more established, and I think that'll pull them through this year. And I think the French will just will just be edged out by the Welsh, and the Welsh will come fourth, and that leaves the Czechs to sweep up the playoffs for fifth, I think, in men's.
Okay, so we lock in Adam's prediction. England, Austria, Wales, and Czechia.
Nice.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, so Adam is going to deny me and Stefan playing men's again, so that means NI will make the final because nobody's allowed to have nice things. We will overcome the recent poor form against the NI men and win the gold. So England, NI, Austria. I was thinking
Tricky.
I had France or Czech as fourth, but I don't really know the roots, so I'm going to say France and then Czech.
I think they will play each other
Oh, will they?
If
quarters,
all, I think the Czechs will probably win their group, and France or Wales, if all things go as predicted, would come second in our group and play each other in the quarters. So that draw does work.
We'll go with that. Let's say that. But it could be Czech and then France. Who knows?
So who did you have? Did you have the French first and then Czech?
I did, yeah. But now I'm
Fair.
questioning
Yeah.
myself.
No, that's
Gotta lock it
I
in.
agree with that. I think it comes down to Wales v France for fourth.
Okay,
Nice.
so England, Northern Ireland, Austria. What was the fourth spot again? France now or Czechia?
You saw it. We'll go France.
France fourth and Czechia
Yeah.
fifth.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, lock that in. All
Bear
right.
in mind, I've only seen the groups about half an hour ago, so
Yeah.
don't take my
Well,
word for it.
I don't know if it's possible, but if Adam says so, it should be
Yeah.
possible. So okay, so I'm gonna go with Austria, obviously beating Northern Ireland, and not in the same fashion as in Worlds, but this time's it's gonna be really close, and Adam's gonna try to catch me with a tombstone and gonna fail and slide off the backcourt. That's my prediction, and we win it
Double
in the
out.
last set. Double out, because otherwise it doesn't count. And then we are the ones who have to break the triangle and gonna face Brad in the final. After he had some really tough games against Scotland, he's really tired and his cross court won't reach me anymore because it left somewhere
Reach.
invalid in the middle, and I just have to step over it to make it an invalid throw. At least that's how my last shower
I'll be
session
on the
went.
I'll be on the right wing, Stefan, so I'll be crossing it the other way.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So that is rock, paper, scissors, level 4 against level 5. We know how that turns out. So it's going to be Austria, then England, then an I. And that's where it gets tricky for me as well because I don't know. I'm Wales, France. That is going to be really tough. I just played France, and I think their young, dynamic team is just going to outpace Wales at this point. I think Wales has way more experience, but I think France is really, really good. They've been looking really sharp, and I think they're going to beat Wales. And then they're going to beat Italy. I think Italy's going to beat Czechia. I'm not 100% sure about that because I've seen both at CEC and both looked really strong. But for some reason, I think Italy has also a lot of young players, and then if they finally get their tactics right, and they have Coach Giseli now, I think, so they're gonna
It's
get their
just
tactics
coach, I
right.
think.
Yeah,
Just
he's a
coach.
coach,
Yeah,
but he's
not a
teaching
player.
everyone how to throw
Throw like
bombs.
him.
So
So they're
yeah,
all just
they're just out of the
whipping that
elbow.
ball from the
Yeah.
shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, just
So I'm gonna go with France in the fourth place, and then in the fifth place, I think I think it's gonna be Scotland in fifth. Is that possible?
Yes.
Yeah, that is possible. We beat them in the semis, and then they come in fifth. Yeah. So I lock in Austria, England, and France, Scotland. That is my prediction for men's. At least that's how I currently feel about it.
wait.
I
So who
like
do
it.
you have fourth?
Fourth, I
France.
have France.
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that will be a
I
common opinion. I just think that Welsh team can do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like that fourth
Let me
spot, if
let me
we don't
search their
fuck
squad.
up, that is gonna be really tough fourth spot because there are many teams who are definitely capable of it, and I think there's still also gonna be a real tough battle for the ninth spot because some of the teams who should be in fight for the fifth spot have to go to the ninth place as well. So I think like Spain, maybe Netherlands, Wales, that's gonna be really tough games in the lower ends as well if they don't manage to beat
Yeah,
those
it
second place
doesn't
teams. So
doesn't get any easier in that
no,
fourth
Do
to
Wales
ninth
have a
spot at all.
Do Wales have a squad list out or not?
They do not.
Ah,
With research, I have worked it out.
nothing to
ah,
worry about.
Adam, Adam got all the squad lists. Okay, so
Yeah.
just post them. Okay,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna go
Leak
straight
everybody
into
else's
mixed.
with no source.
Yeah, and just leak their squad list. They don't even know it yet. That will set them on fire. All right, Adam, you can. Oh no, Brad, you start this
No,
time.
go Adam because he knows what's theoretically possible.
Yeah,
So I don't want to look an idiot.
Right, mixed. Northern Ireland will
shocker.
win it, and we yeah, so you play each other in the semi-final, so that's just my own opinion. I don't have to be any bias towards Northern Ireland. I just have to pick who I think is going to win. And that is tough. I yeah, I'm gonna go the easy way out, and I'm gonna go with the historic result, and I think Austria will win again. Just though I do think England will make adjustments from uh, the last time they played at Worlds. I think you could have been better than you were, and
We were terrible.
yeah, and that could change things. Though I think I'll go with Austria because I kind of knew what to expect from them. Fourth, now it gets hard. So who can it be? I think Group A is a bit weird.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be either the French or the Czechs who will come second in Group B, and they will win their quarterfinal. And I think it's going to be the French. I think the French are going to come fourth in that as well. I'm back in the French. Everybody's back in the French at this Euros
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, France fourth, fifth is going to be Scotland.
All right, so we lock that in. NI, Austria, England, France, and Scotland. Perfect. Brad, now you have some possibilities that are
Yeah.
theoretically possible. That is nice.
So who will you meet in the semis, Adam? Most likely. See if you can slip up to
Our
somebody.
our semi would be against how does that work? The
No, I think
the
we are D and C is locked up for semis, right? So you
yeah, we
play
would
Northern
play.
Ireland plays Scotland.
I think that's our quarterfinal.
Yeah, your quarterfinals, yeah.
Yeah,
And then your semis.
So in England's quarterfinal is Sweden, and then the semi is against Group A,
I think our semi will be
potentially.
against the French. That's who I've said who will come fourth. I think
Yeah.
we'll be playing the French.
Do you fancy a slip up to the
I, I,
French?
I, I, I don't think. I think we should be good enough to defeat
Okay.
whoever it is in that semi, but they will give us a good go because they'll definitely have earned
Will
their right
the
to be in the semi, and they'll have proved that they're kind of that best of the rest. So I doubt they'll go down without swinging.
will the mixed semis be before the men's semis or after? Because you might be so focusing on what's to come, you could.
If you want to put us fourth or third, just do it. But
Nah, I'll NI to come get to the final for sure, and finish second. To
That's a tough one.
this is a very tough match, very tough match. Um, I guess from your starting lineup from Worlds, you're two different players this time. No Andy, no Lisa. Although Lisa got injured midway through, of course. But I'm just thinking your team's a third changed since then. Our team will also have changed slightly. Um, we can't be as bad as we were, so we're going to get through. We're going to get through this time, and we will repeat our victory against Adam in the worst match that we ever played in the
oh yeah,
semi-finals. Worlds.
it will not be
Yeah.
that bad. We will, if it's in the final, we'll actually be up for it and we'll make it a spectacle.
So England, NI, Austria, then I can't even remember who could finish fourth. Czech, can they finish fourth? It sounds
Yeah,
plausible.
Yes, they can.
Czech.
Yeah, let's stick Czech
Yeah,
in fourth. And who would they have to beat? Who would come fifth?
Fifth is anyone, basically, who lost their quarters. So
I don't think it will be Scotland. I think I'm not sure they're. I'll probably eat my words here, but just looking at their squad, I don't think I've seen their mixed squad, but I'm not sure they have the arms for mixed and men's. Maybe they do. So I'm going to go fifth, France, if that's possible.
possible.
Nah.
Give me someone who can come fifth.
I'll
That
give
isn't
you
Scotland.
Portugal. Portugal is
No.
possible.
Sweden. I think like it's between Scotland will play Wales in your group, so the winner of that could come fifth. Sweden and the Netherlands, the winner of that could come fifth. And then I think,
Sweden. I like Sweden in
yeah,
mixed. I think they're tricky. I like them.
I agree.
So Spain has no Iceman. That's the inside
Yeah, I
information I have
think Group
today.
A is weird. So Ireland are obviously top. The Italians are playing a zero or maybe a max of two players across men's and women's. I think the mixed team is an entirely separate squad. Spain does not have Iceman, though I still think they can win the group without him. I just don't know if they
Just
can
want to
go.
know who this Iceman
I just
is.
don't know if they can go further without him. They might, and then Hungary and Portugal. I think Group A is kind of in a weird spot where second in Group B will win that quarterfinal.
I'm going to go Sweden fifth. I rate them at mixed. I think they're very good.
Yeah, I like your prediction, especially except for the first three spots. But I'll go with Austria beating England because that's what we do in a semifinal in mixed. And then we're gonna play against Northern Ireland. That's gonna be a really the spectacle we want, the spectacle we need, the spectacle.
What if you're out?
Huh? No. So Austria and England, and then I think I will go France and Sweden as well. So I think France
Nice.
will beat Czechia and will beat Italy or Spain. I think those two are the ones. I don't know how strong Spain this year is. They've been quite good in the mixed in the past, so I.
Somebody said they have no Iceman. I don't know if that's true.
So we just basically all our predictions are just based off Adam's
Source.
info.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
It's on their
So,
team
but I'm
sheets.
still-
That's not even hidden information. His,
Adam's been in
I have
training
no
in
idea how to
Slovakia
get
doing
that
some
shit.
recon.
Okay, so we're gonna ask Adam in Limerick as well. So Adam, who am I playing next? What do I have
Yeah.
to do? So Adam, you're gonna have to handle that for us. So I'll back the France team to beat Czechia in our group, and they'll beat the first seed in Group A. So I think France will come fourth, and then I think it's gonna be between Sweden and Scotland, to be honest. And I think Sweden put a lot of emphasis on their mixed team, and they have a really, really good mixed team. So I think I don't know who the Scottish women are, so I have no idea about that. So their men are obviously quite talented, but I think they're gonna be spread really thin because they have
Yeah.
tough groups, tough quarters. I think it's gonna be really tough for them to compete in the end. So I think Sweden has a big squad of good arms. They're gonna come fifth, in my opinion. Yeah, I lock that in.
I think that's not a bad prediction. I don't think I think the Scots have a good men's unit in terms of skill set, but it's such a different skill set for mixed, and I just don't quite think they've got the firepower. Like,
That's true.
You've got great catchers in there, Ross and Cam Elton and Ian and stuff, but in terms of pure like throw, I don't know if they've quite got the arms for
I
it.
think they do tend to perform quite well in the mixed, but I guess I understand Johnny Day is no longer around, but Scotty
Yeah.
Whitelaw is showing up, and yeah, I just think he's lots of quality, and I like Cam, I like Amanda.
I
I think
think
they're good players that can make a difference.
I think someone like Scotty in men's is brilliant because you can't focus overly on one person in men's, but in mixed, like you can take the risk to take him, and that side's losing a little bit of firepower.
Fair.
That's Zlatan. Yeah, so I think that's the prediction. And all right, guys, let's just bring this to an end, and we'll have to do this afterwards and talk about our prediction, whether Adam got them wrong, and something else happening.
Are we all going to
entirely.
write our real predictions down that aren't like Brett saying that we're all getting triple gold? And then we can say like, this is what I actually thought might happen.
This is honestly, yeah. So you can send me your private prediction that you won't get stoned for in your training camp or when you meet up in Limerick?
6 feet, I told you.
All right, Brad's going for the 6 feet. Adam and I are gonna do everything in our
We're gonna
power
win
of our teachers
4,
to
even though
definitely.
we've only entered
Yeah.
3, but we're gonna win 4.
Yeah, I think Adam now just entered for women's foam. He's ready. He just doesn't care. Just no 6 feet for Brad. So I think that's a worthy goal. So we're gonna bend the rules on that a little bit.
Get
But
those walls in, folks.
Yeah, I tried to play quadruple as well, play for foam as well, but I think it's a very good thing that we're not doing this because it's really not nice on your body. To combine foam and cloth is something that I still don't feel to this day. So, but maybe next year. Maybe next year we have this podcast and we'll all be on the foam team because
You
no one
don't
wants
even
us on the
see the
cloth team.
Americans play in both. It just must
No.
not be possible.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's so different from the throwing mechanics, and I think it just fucks up your shoulder and elbow. But we'll see. Maybe stronger players and athletes will come through in the future, and they will be quadruple players. That would be sick.
Huge.
Yeah, that will be something different.
And you all get there on Wednesday? Are you getting out there on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm heading out on Wednesday morning, and I'll be in
Nice.
Limerick, hopefully in the
In the
late
halls, or you got on your own account?
Nope, we're there in the halls.
Nice.
You
Nice.
guys as well?
We are.
Yeah, same for us.
So England
Nice.
is joining the fray because Scotland apparently has their own apartments, really nice
do they?
ones. Yeah, so they have
Wow.
sauna and ice baths and everything. So Scotty,
Okay, I'm changing predictions.
Scotty's gonna be ready to fire on day 4, and we're just gonna be sleeping in bent over beds and.
Student beds.
Last really important question is who's gonna attend your boombox if Tamas isn't there?
I think he's coming as a coach.
I thought that's not possible, but I don't know. I have no idea what's allowed and what is not. So you still have him for the boombox because otherwise,
maybe from outside the venue.
Yeah, with his tiny boombox.
If not, I'll get hold of it and make sure.
Okay, some classics on there. All right, perfect. Good. Amazing. Let's bring this home, boys. This was a pleasure, and really looking forward to see you in a few days. I think it's gonna be a real show either way.
Talking about it all gets makes it very
excited now.
So I'm excited. Yeah, this is a whole different vibe than our last talk. So I like this. So I'm also looking forward. Yeah, so that's depressing. But apparently I didn't feel that back then, so it was completely fine. And let's see if in a few weeks we meet up again and who's gonna be depressed and who's gonna need to pepped up. And if Brad doesn't get his 6 feet, whether he has to stop playing or he enters foam because they're so successful and he needs more trophies.
That'll just be
Either way, it's gonna
be Nathan making the migration. Christofferson.
We're just gonna push him over.
We're sending him
back,
to Austria.
Yeah, and we'll take him. We can handle a good curse. All right, guys. With that, I haven't done a proper intro, so I'm gonna do my outro. Keep throwing those balls. Try not to get caught, and see you guys in Limerick. It's gonna be a hell of a show.